Since its launch in the mid-80s, the Ibiza has been Seat's best-selling car of all time, and there's a brand new model, and it's this one, the new 5th generation Seat Ibiza. Well, the all-new Ibiza gets Seat's family look, which is very familiar with the Ateca and latest Leon. It's 87mm wider than the model it replaces, 2mm longer and 1mm shorter. At launch there'll be 3 petrol engines to choose from, all from the same 1 litre, a 75 PS non-turbocharged version, then 2 turbocharged versions with 95 PS and 115 PS. Later in the year there'll be a 1.5 litre with 150 PS and a diesel. There's 4 trims to choose from: S, SE, FR and Excellence. Unlike before, the Ibiza is only going to be offered in this 5-door trim. Prices start from £13,130, and we're testing the mid-powered 1 litre 95 PS engine in FR trim, and that costs £16,015. Now, thanks to a stretch wheelbase, the benefits are seen inside with things like a much bigger boot. Capacity's increased by 63 litres to 355, which is very usable and helpful. The boot is rectangular and with a pretty flat floor. However, there's quite a big lip to get over when you're loading heavier items. There's nothing fancy in here. There's a couple of bag hooks. There's no real underfloor storage, and that's about it. In the back, you've got more room than you have in a Fiesta. There's a little bit of knee room there and decent leg room. Foot room's a little restricted, but not too bad. Headroom's pretty decent for a Super Mini, and I'm pretty comfortable. The plastics are firm, but feel robust and solid. There's a nice big armrest. There's a decent sized tunnel between the seats, so a third person is going to struggle a little. But these seats fold 60/40 flat. There's a door pocket, but probably most disappointingly of all is the manual window winders. In the front, what immediately strikes you is the big infotainment system, which is touchscreen and colour, but that's actually black and white in the S model, so worth bearing in mind, and it grows as you go up the range. But it's a pleasant place to be. Everything is hard, but it feels really well screwed together, and there's plenty of room. You don't feel like you're in a Super Mini, it feels much grander than that. Storage is excellent. I've got a big long door bin, this tray ahead of the gear lever with 2 USB ports, cup holders in the middle, small tray, and then a secondary tray towards the back. The glove box itself is decently sized, so you should be able to store your bits and bobs away quite happily. My seat adjusts with a pump lever, and in the lowest position I have good headroom. There's a rotary dial, thankfully, for the backrest, which means you'll find a better position to suit you. The steering wheel then adjusts pretty well for reach and tilt, so most should be able to find a comfortable driving position. The gear lever's nicely positioned and everything's finished beautifully. These sport seats really add to the ambience with the red stitching, which is then copied on the leather gear lever and handbrake handles. But let's get this on the road and see if it's as interesting to drive as Seat claim it is. The 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine under the bonnet develops 94 brake horsepower and 129 pound-feet of torque. That's enough to get this little Super Mini from standstill to 62 miles an hour in 10.9 seconds. On an official combined cycle, it returns 60.1 miles per gallon and emits just 106 grams per kilometre of CO2. Max power arrives between 5,000 and 5,500 revs, whilst max torque kicks in at just a lowly 1,500 and is spread all the way through to 3,500. Now, the engine does bog down at low revs. You've got to get into that peak torque band to really get it moving. I'd say really anything below 2,000 revs, it's a little bit slow to get going, but once it does, it moves pretty swiftly and quite happily. This mid-powered 1 litre gets a 5-speed manual gearbox. It's only the most powerful 1 litre that gets the 6-speed box. It's got a short throw to it. It's a little bit notchy going into gear, but it's not bad at all. And with a light clutch, you can shift gears with no problem whatsoever. Now, this FR model gets a small steering wheel, which is good to hold, looks good and appealing with its flat-bottomed FR badge and the red stitching. The perforated leather is good, it's a nice size and easy to grip. The FR version gets the bigger 17-inch alloy wheels and the lower and stiffer suspension. and you can feel around town it does lack a little bit of suppleness to the ride. However, it's not uncomfortable and it's not bouncing around. You just feel that edge of firmness. That sports suspension is noticed more out on the country lanes for two reasons. One, it's a little bit more bumpier. You can certainly notice that harshness. Again, not that it's uncomfortable, it's just not ultra supple. The second place you notice it is when you're having some fun through the lanes, and you really can in this car. It handles very, very well. It's really impressive. It stays flat through the corners. The steering's keen to turn in. It's well weighted and is consistent throughout. You can really put a lot of trust in the Ibiza FR because there's plenty of front end grip, and it's doing exactly what I want it to do, and it's putting a smile on my face. It's also allowing me to really quite push myself. The Ibiza's brakes are pretty good, and the Ibiza stays stable under heavy braking. It's quite surprising how much tyre oil there is just going slowly through these suburban roads. You will notice some wind noise at motorway speeds. Visibility around is pretty good. The front and side pillars are really impressively thin, whilst the over the shoulder view there's a little 3/4 light which does help out a little. I'll say it really are on a roll at the moment. They're bringing out quality, desirable products, and the Ibiza's no exception. It looks great in this FR trim. It handles brilliantly and is a lot of fun. There's a good range of trims and engines, and it's well priced. Let us know in the comment section below what you think of the Ibiza. Do check out the website for the full review, and thanks for watching.